After cooling our jets in Córdoba, we headed east on Highway 9 into the Santa Fe province.
Bien, maestro.
Through Rosario, toward the Atlantic coast. The Argentine capital of Buenos Aires, the Paris of South America. South to La Plata, the provincial capital dubbed the Diagonal City, we started our self-guided tour with the city's Neolithic cathedral. One of the largest in the world, with a 20-ton tenor bell and a capacity of over 7,000 souls.
Cuídense. Vamos a Argentina.
Yeah. Muchas gracias. Chao.
Tengan buen día.
What's up? California.
Córdoba.
California.
After paying our respects and a tour of a local brewery, we stopped by an authorized DJI service center in an attempt to fix our broken drone. But that was going to take cash and take us downtown for another black market currency exchange. Another day in the life in Argentina.
Sí, eso es Argentina. Estados Unidos y México y Guatemala. ¿Dónde está Chile? No sé. ¿Dónde Chile? Eso.
Y yo conozco a Bolivia.
¿Bolivia? No hay Bolivia.
¿Qué hay más?
Canadá. Okay, so we're on Florida Street in Buenos Aires right now, and apparently this is where you come for cambio. This is where you come to exchange your money. So it's a very crowded location, a lot of people coming and going on the streets, and it's always a little nerve-wracking when you're walking around carrying a bunch of cash with you, especially when everybody knows that that's what you've come down here to do. So we actually just kind of nipped over to this little sidewalk cafe real quick, just so we could film this without drawing too much attention to ourselves. Unfortunately, we didn't get as good a rate here in Buenos Aires as we did in Mendoza, but we asked around and we got the best rate we could. So yeah, life in Argentina, working on the blue dollar. Here we are. Florida Street. Go figure.
Cash in hand and drone repaired, for now, we set about our final task for the day, securing our ferry passage to Uruguay.
We're good to go. Our tickets to Uruguay on Monday.
That's cool.
Left you hanging? Sorry.
Before backtracking to the hotel and another brewery to round out the evening, we woke early Monday morning to take advantage of our final day in Argentina and tour one of the city's main attractions. One of the most widely visited, historic, and important cemeteries in the world, La Recoleta Cemetery and the neighboring Nuestra Señora de Pilar Church are a must for anyone visiting the Argentinian capital. The first public cemetery in Buenos Aires, known as the City of the Dead, was inaugurated in 1822. Eventually falling into disrepair and nearly abandoned, local authorities agreed to bring it back from the dead, so to speak, in 1882. Over 200 years later, it is the final resting place of former presidents, business magnates, Nobel Prize winners, sculptors, poets, and celebrities. Among them, Eva Perón, better known as Evita, the actress, activist, philanthropist, and former First Lady, was laid to rest here after her untimely death at the age of 33. And Rufina Cambaceres, who in 1902, at the age of 19, passed away here, in this crypt, after being buried alive. The story goes, after being declared dead of a heart attack by 3 separate doctors, a funeral was held for the young Rufina, who was placed in her coffin and sealed in this mausoleum. Days later, a cemetery worker noticed the coffin had been disturbed. Fearing grave robbery, he opened the coffin to find the young woman dead, bruised, and ghastly distorted, and deep gouges on the underside of the coffin lid, from desperate attempts to claw her way out. Famous residents aside, this cemetery itself is an open-air museum with wonderful examples of Art Deco, Gothic, and Art Nouveau architecture, filled with lore and history. But unfortunately, many of these mausoleums have fallen into disrepair. Some cluttered with haphazard and seemingly disregarded caskets, many long forgotten by those charged with maintaining them. Dirty, broken, and in some cases open to the elements, exposing the remains of those inside. After a beautiful, albeit somber tour of the City of the Dead, we were back on the bike, on our way to the Buque bus terminal and our awaiting ferry.
Ahí bajan documentos, cédula de la moto
Sí,
y el seguro,
Sí.
¿sí? Y van a hacer los trámites adentro.
tengo todo. Okay.
Exactamente.
Yeah, muchas gracias.
Interestingly, the immigration process for both Argentina and Uruguay is handled in the terminal, but customs is handled at the ship itself, upon embarking here in Buenos Aires and disembarking in Colonia de Sacramento in Uruguay.
I'm not sure if they're going to let us out. We're going to see. Fingers crossed.
And unfortunately for us, our TIP for our Chilean plated motorcycle only permits us to cross the border into Argentina, not beyond. We might not be getting on this ferry after all.